So this is WSP 2.3. We're not doing all of them. We're doing numbers 1 through 5 odd. That's 1, 3, 5, 7, or 1, 3, 5. And then we're jumping to number 18 and to number 8, sorry. And going 8 through 16 all, and then 20 through 23 all also. So that's on the back side of the 20 through 23. Again, the answers are on Edmodo, a picture of the answers. I will also show you the answers right here in a bit. And you could also pause the screen if you're watching the video to check all your answers here. But let's take a look. I'm not going to do all of them, obviously. We don't have that much time. Let's jump to a certain amount of questions like these right here. This one, on the other video, we just learned how to deal with multiple fractions within an equation. So right here we have this denominator 2 and this denominator 8. So what would you multiply everything by? 8. 8's the better option. If you just multiply by 2, it'll get rid of this 2, but it won't get rid of these two fractions. So the better option is to multiply by 8. So if we multiply everything by 8, let's put a times 8 right here, a times 8 over here, and a times 8 over here. Notice that I wrote the 8 up on top because 8 over 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4. So notice I wrote my answer up there also. That means I need to go 1 times 4, and of course with a y. 1 times 4 with a y. What's the answer? 4y. There we go. Now the other one, the over 8. 8 over 8 does cancel out. So I have a 1 right there, and that's a minus 1. So probably shouldn't have written that. Let me erase that. Okay. So we have a minus 1 left over. Let's bring that down. Minus 1 equals, and over here also the 8 cancels. So I have a 7. So I need to solve this. What do I do to solve it? Edward, what do I do to solve it? That's right, Edward. Add 1. What you do to one side, do to the other side. So we're going to have 4y equals 8. Final step would be to divide by 4. Divide by 4. That means that y equals 2. Because that cancels, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. And if we check the answer on the answer sheet, what number was that? That was number 11?
It's 2.
Yeah, it is 2 on the answer sheet right there. Again, if you're watching this video at home and you want to verify all your answers and you didn't take a picture in class, you could hit pause and just look at all those answers right there. Putting this away now. Moving on to the next one. 12, 16. Let's do 12. Why not? So we want to solve. What do? I could multiply everything by 5, right? That would instantly get rid of the 3/5. It would make it just a negative 3f. If I multiplied by 5, the 5 would cancel. But then I'd have 5 times this, and that's a huge number, and 5 times this, that's a huge number. So let's not get rid of the fraction right now. Let's go back to what we always say. F is the movie star. This is the movie star's buddy. This guy's the loner. You don't care about this guy. This is like the bum at the corner. Let's get rid of him. So how do I get rid of the minus 32? Add 32. So we're going to go plus 32 here. We're going to go plus 32 over here. Now, don't be deceived by the words that you're saying, right, in your mind. If you say plus 32, you're not going to be really adding 32. What you have to do is you need to think, what sign does a 17 have? Oh, that means I owe $17. Plus 32 means I have $32. So will you have enough money to pay them off? Yes. What's your answer going to be? 15 is the answer. And let's bring down the rest. The equal sign, let's bring this down. Negative 3/5 f. I guess I shouldn't have said answer. 15 is what we have left over on the right side. So now we have this fraction that we still need to get rid of. What do I do to get rid of that fraction? Multiply by 5. So I'm putting a times 5. Times 5. So check this out, guys. The 5 cancels with the 5. And what do we have left? We have a negative 3f left over. Equals 15 times 5, which is 75. Final step would be to divide by, because you're really multiplying by negative 3, so you're going to divide by negative 3 and divide by negative 3. Remember, you need the same exact term on top and bottom for them to cancel out. So your final answer is F equals negative 25. There's 3/4 and 75 cents, right? And also a positive divided by a negative is a negative. Question? So that's it. F equals negative 25. Let's jump to the back side where we have word problems that are a little more challenging. So we're going to go to 21 through 23. 7 less than. What does less than mean? Subtract. And the word than implies what? A switch. So you really have a -7 at the end. So this stuff over here, the 4 times a number, that's going to go before the -7. So 4 times a number, you could put n, you could put x, whatever variable you want. And then it says equals 13, equals 13. And then it asks, what is the number? In other words, solve for n. So if you go plus 7, let me rewrite my equation in blue because I ran out of space. It's going to be 4n equals 20. So you'd have to divide by 4 on both sides. And of course, your final answer is what? N equals 5. Is that one going to be on the quiz? Yeah. Actually, I don't think so. That one's too easy. These guys over here, more fun. Let's do these guys. Find 2 consecutive odd integers whose sum is 116. Okay, now, if it just said consecutive integers, then you would say, I don't know what number it is, so I put x. Now, the next number would be x plus 1, but that's if it didn't say odd, okay? But it does say odd. So let's think about, before we even do this problem, let's go over here to the blank page. Let me just make a list. So there's my list, and pick an odd one. 3, okay. So let's pick 3. And let's say I didn't know that the number 3 was the odd number. I mean, let's call it x. But if x did equal 3, what would the next consecutive odd number be? 5, okay, true, but in terms of x plus 2 would get you to the 5 if your x was 3, right? Now, what would the next, what does it say, 1 consecutive or 2 that we were looking at?
2 consecutive.
2 consecutive, okay, so that's it. So we have 1 and 2 consecutive odd numbers. Now, this x and this x plus 2 will work for any odd number. So like, let's say instead of 3, what if this was a 13? Well, then you'd have to go 13 plus 2 to get to the 15. Make sense? Yes? So let's go back to the page here. So 2 consecutive odd integers. Let's say we don't know what the number is. So I'm going to call that x. But whatever number it is, let's say you think that was 17. Let's say x was 17. Then the next consecutive odd would be 19. In other words, x plus 2. So if they're asking us to find 2 consecutive, this is one number. Here's another. That's a consecutive odd whose sum, if you were adding, is 116. Does that make sense? So notice that there are nothing to distribute from the outside of the parenthesis end, so you don't even need the parentheses. Okay, so you could rewrite it without parentheses. And of course, now you could actually add the x's with the x's. X plus x, that's going to be 2x. And you could rewrite your entire equation. So your new equation is going to be 2x plus 2 equals 116. 2x plus 2 equals 116. And you're going to solve that the way you always do. Subtract 2, subtract 2. You're going to have 2x equals, because that cancels out, 116 take away 2 is 114. So your final step would be to divide by 2. Divide by 2. X equals 57. 57. So if you just write that answer, 57, unfortunately, I could only give you half credit. You know why? They're asking for 2 consecutive odd integers. So if 57 is one of them, what's the next one? 59. So if you did add 57 plus 59, it really would give you 116. Does that make sense? Okay. So this problem was kind of similar to the one we did on the class opener. So the next one, number 22, find two consecutive even integers whose sum is 126. So again, you don't know your first even integer, so you're going to call it x. What's the next even number? If x is your even number, what's the next even number? X plus 2, again. So it doesn't matter if it's odd or even, you're still going to have to add 2 to get to the next number, right? So here is your first even number, here's your second even number. It's saying that the sum of these two even numbers is 126. So it's saying that the sum of those two even numbers is 126. So when I combine like terms, the x plus x, that's going to be a total of 2 x's. Bring down the plus 2, bring down the equal, bring down the 126. Then you'll be able to subtract 2 on both sides. By the way, I'm running out of space here. So if I subtract 2 here and subtract 2 over here, I'll have 2x equals 124. Final step would be to divide by 2. And divide by 2, x equals 62. That's one number. What would the next consecutive even number be? 64. So your answer is not only 62, but also 64. Those are the two numbers I want to see on tomorrow's quiz. Now this last one is a little bit more challenging because it says 3 consecutive odd integers. It doesn't matter odd or even. The first number is always going to be x. The next number is going to be what? X plus 2. And the next consecutive odd number is going to be what? X plus 4. There you go. Right? So if this first one was 3, this one's going to be 5 because 3 plus 2 is 5. And the next would be 3 plus 4 is 7. So 3, 5, 7. Those are consecutive odd integers. Now, what does it say about these 3 consecutive odd integers? It says their sum is 117. So if I add them all together, I'll get 117. So it's just a question of combining like terms and then solving the equation. So x plus x plus x, that's a total of 3 x's. And now let's actually combine the numbers. We have a plus 2 with a plus 4. That's going to be plus 6. And of course, bring down the equals 117. So let's subtract 6 to get rid of that 6. Subtract 6. We're going to have 3x equals 111. Dang, that looks ugly. So what? Let's keep going. How do you get rid of 3 times x? Divide by 3. Divide by 3. X equals 37. If you didn't know or you don't have a calculator, go ahead and do 111 divided by 3. So you think 3 goes into 11 how many times? 3 times 3 gets you close. That's 9. Subtract, you'll have a 2. Bring down the 1. 3 times 7 is 21. That's how we got 37 as an answer right there.